The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the latest episode of the Up Tempo Podcast. I'm your host, Dustin Smith in Pensacola, Florida tonight, joined by my boy in Mobile, a stormy Mobile, as he tells me, my boy Blake Lane. And Blake, the first weekend, brother, without Auburn sports, how did you hold up? Because I was freaking miserable, my dude.
Dude, I'll be honest with you, Dustin. I had to call the boys and I said, hey, let's go play a round of golf. And we set that up and we went over to Lake Forest in Daphne, Alabama, played a round of golf. It was just sweltering, dude. The heat was outrageous, but we got through it. We went over to my buddy DG's, who was with me Thursday night, making some College World Series picks and stuff like that. Yeah, appreciate that, man. Hate you couldn't be there, but we went over to his house and we grilled out, got in the pool a little bit, and he's got a nice little setup on the back patio, and we were just watching college baseball, man. So it was a fun little weekend, but obviously I wish the Auburn Tigers would have been playing in Plainsman Park for a super regional with a chance to go to Omaha.
Yeah, it hurt, brother. It hurt watching some of them teams that I knew were better than, for real.
It hurt. It hurt, but you know, Wake Forest kind of lit a fire, and that that was a little helpful. And watching that 22-5 onslaught, you know, that was always that put a smile on my face. So I enjoyed that.
Yeah, they put it on them, man. That was good stuff. And it's been a long time since some boys from T-Town been to Omaha. Been a long time.
Yes, sir.
So what we're going to do tonight, man, we're going to break down the football schedule because that's where we're at. And what we wanted to do was we kind of wanted to look at it and rank these games from 12 to 1 and what we thought just level of importance. We're not going to predict tonight. I don't know about you, man. I don't even want to start predicting until fall camp starts.
Yeah.
We're not going to predict. We're not going to do anything like that. But we're all just going to kind of just level of importance of like the season, how important we think this game is. And we're going to start at 12 and work our way to what we think is number 1. So I know that me and Blake, we had 12 through 10, just kind of the gimmies. We had these, and we didn't get together before and do this. We're seeing each other's list for the first time. But I know that we had 12 through 10, just Sanford, UMass, and New Mexico State in there. If you're going to make a bowl game, you better get these, right, Blake?
Absolutely. These are the 3 gimmies, Dustin. And if you want to get to that 7-5, 8-4, like all the Auburn fans say, that is year 1, and you would be comfortable with winning in year 1, 7 to 8 wins. These are the 3 that they are a must-have, and I think they will be. All 3 will be victories. We don't want an App State at Texas A&M happening, but I don't see that with these 3 games. Actually, you know, UMass, that's the opener. That's going to be a whiteout in Jordan-Hare. They're telling all the fans to wear white. And that's just that one's you know, going to be fun because that's the first time that Hugh's going to come out the tunnel for the Auburn Tigers stuff.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah. And that's going to be a big moment, you know, because all we've been hearing from the media and all the college football analysts is Hugh Freeze has been portaling, Hugh Freeze has been recruiting, and the staff has been slowly putting it together. So that one's going to be a fun one, brother.
Yeah, I'm with you. And like you said, just the start of a new regime, start of a new era. I look forward to that Tiger Walk and seeing Hugh come through there for the first time. It'll be fun. And I mean, dude, like I said on our episode with Ike, I'm already watching old games, dude. I've watched games from the freaking 80s. I've watched games from the 90s. Like, I'm there. That last little bit of Auburn baseball. Because, look, I love my Tampa Bay Rays. Don't get me wrong. But, like, dude, the football season will be started before those games even get to where they matter. So, that's just, you know, that's just kind of where we're at in sports right now. So when that first one comes, man, it's like Christmas morning to me. That Friday before opening kickoff, opening weekend, man, the anticipation is a blast. And you wake up and you're like, oh, I made it.
Dude. And, you know, like you just mentioned with baseball and everything, you know, we were hammering Auburn baseball content. We were pushing it out there and we decided to kind of hold back on football, right? Because we wanted to devote our time fully to this baseball team. And so that's why we're kind of here tonight, is to really kick this thing off and get Auburn football content out there. And I'm with you, dude. Like I can miss a Yankees game and just be like, like I'll catch the next one.
They're playing the same team tomorrow.
Yeah, they play 162 of them jokers now. I love it. I love it. Don't get me wrong, but I can go a night and miss one. But Auburn sports, Auburn football, basketball, baseball, whatever. I'm locked in, Dustin. So that's what. Now that baseball's over with, I'm full head of steam to football, brother.
Yeah, 100%. Getting up here to number 9. I don't even know where you had at number 9.
We both had Vandy.
We both had Vandy. So listen, not going to get too deep into this, but I just want to say, man, we've lost 2 in a row to Nashville. Now I acknowledge it, or in Nashville. I acknowledge they just kind of catch us at the wrong time. Let's see, 2012 they got us 17-12. We all know what 2012 was. Good Lord. And then 2008, another 5-7 season. They got us 14-13. So they just caught us at the right time, man. 21-21 all time versus Vandy, Blake. 21-21. So I think we go up there and get the job done. We just have superior athletes. There'll be more Auburn fans in the building than there will be Vanderbilt. But it's a cool trip. We haven't been there in a long time. But just don't overlook it, because historically they've been a pain in our side, man. They've given us trouble. And even the last time we played them, 2016, that's when we were kind of rolling. Cam Petway went on that breakaway run, and then he tore his hamstring. And they remember they leaped, blocked the field goal, but got called for leaping. Just kind of a weird game. And then after that game, our season went off the rails. We just kind of fell apart. Finished another Gus Malzahn 8-5 season. So just don't overlook this Vanderbilt team. I do like kind of where it's at in the season as far as later in the season. I think they'll be beat up just because who isn't at that point in the SEC. And a Vanderbilt team that's down to their backups, that's just not a team that has a lot of depth. So we should win that game easy, but just historically, man, don't overlook them. And it'll be nice to win that game and take a series lead, because that's just crazy. 21-21 with Vandy.
Clark Lee's got those guys on the come up, and we saw that last year, right?
5-7 last year, yeah.
Yeah, and this is a team that beat Florida. They started out with an absolute shellacking out in Hawaii, and people were kind of questioning them if they could go out there and get it done. They had some big wins. This is a team that took Ole Miss into the second half, and it was like a tied game at halftime or a 7-point game or whatever. Ole Miss eventually ended up blowing them out, but they hung around, and I have them at 9 just because I think this is a team that you should dominate. Yeah, right? Sure. I think Hugh Freeze can score on Vandy. Their defense was not great last year, and so their offense kind of got it rolling, but their defense just gives up way too many points, and I think Hugh can score on this Vanderbilt team. And look, honestly, this is another team, if you want to get bowl eligible, you got to beat. So yeah, you can't go up to Nashville and flirt around and end up losing this game, because if you do, you're in trouble. And this is also coming off, you got Georgia, you got LSU, you got Ole Miss, you got Mississippi State. So this is right in the thick of your schedule. And then you got Vanderbilt. So could this be a trap? I don't know, but I think you got to go to Nashville and you got to handle business, Dustin.
Yeah, 100%. I'm with you on that.
Who we got at 8, Dustin? Who we got at 8? Let's see here. I went Arkansas. You went Mississippi State. Why Mississippi State at 8, Dustin?
So Mississippi State has made 13 bowl games in a row. Probably their best, like at least their most consistent stretch in the history of their program. We all know what happened last year, dude, with the Mike Leach situation. Was it Arnett? Yeah, Zach Arnett. Yep. We were actually there was some rumors he was going to be our DC. And then the unfortunate situation, rest in peace, the Pirate. So he has to kind of slide in and take over that program. And was he ready? Was Zach Arnett ready to be a head coach? Like I said, he was interviewing for DC jobs. It kind of seems like they were in a tough situation and they had to do what they had to do. So I don't know. Maybe he's, they have a lot of returning starters. They have a lot of returning production. Here's my thing with Mississippi State. Mississippi State is going to Kevin Barbay. I believe that's how you say it. He's coming. He was the head coach at Texas State, and home of future stud, Texas State stud, TJ Finley, baby. Light him up, TJ. But he runs a much different offense than what he wants to run a balanced offense. He wants to have a lot more running in between the tackles. He wants to do some different things. Well, you know what Mike Leach did? They don't have the personnel. Is Will Rogers a experienced quarterback? 100%. He's an experienced quarterback, but but 3 years of that's in the air raid. How does he adjust to this new system? You can't just completely overhaul an offensive line. Does an offensive line, do you have the guys that can run this system? Because the offensive linemen that are required to run the air raid look a lot different than a lot of other offenses. The receivers, just the whole offense, how is that going to mesh? I think back to some times when we tried to do it. What was the first year after Gus went to Arkansas State? That would have been 2011, right? And then we tried to we had all those Gus guys from 2 or 3 years of Gus being the OC. And then we tried to go to I don't even remember the cat that we hired. I think he was some guy from Temple or something. But we were trying to go to this multi-purpose, balanced. We were trying to get 200 yards rushing, 200 yards passing every game. And it was a disaster because the personnel didn't match. I think that's kind of where Mississippi State is. And when I look at this competitive West and where it's going to be, right now, man, I'm going to pick Mississippi State to finish last in the West. That's kind of where I have them sitting. So, and this game will be on my 32nd birthday. So, Auburn, give your boy a birthday present. I'm going to finesse somebody in my family and being like, hey, birthday present, you know what I want. So, hopefully I'll be there. Get it done, Auburn. And this is just like, if we're going to get to 7-8 wins, bro, you got to beat the Bulldogs. And they've been beating us lately, and it's time to get that right. That's time to get that right, man.
Yeah, Dustin, I went with Arkansas because this is a Sam Pittman team that didn't have a great year last year. They went 6-6, and it just they had the great year the year before, and they were supposed to be really good last year. The media was picking them 9-3, 10-2. It just didn't happen like that. Look, Arkansas is Arkansas to me, okay? And this is a game right after Vanderbilt that you're going to get at Arkansas, but we've known that we can go up there and we can compete. And we remember what Bo Nix did to them a couple years back, and I think that was on an 11 a.m. kick. We weren't even supposed to win that game. They were supposed, it was supposed to be the KJ Jefferson show, and we ended up beating them by 2 scores and had a nice little day there. So I think after the Vanderbilt game, you get a win, you go to Arkansas, there's momentum to be got there. And like I said, you can win there. All right. Gus can score points on that defense. That secondary was absolutely atrocious last year. This was a team that you hung around with last year in the Brian Harsin era. Now, in the second half, when you were absolutely worn out, they took control and they were just really running it down your throat. And that is the one thing with Arkansas this year. I believe they have Rocket Sanders coming back, KJ coming back. So that's going to be, their bread and butter. They're going to run the football. And if Auburn can contain those 2 guys, I feel like that they can win this game. And this is one of the games that will also propel you to that 8-4 mark that Auburn fans really want to see in year 1. So that is why I have Arkansas at 8, because I really do believe the Auburn Tigers can go to Arkansas and win that football game. So Dustin will move to number 7. And these next 2 right here, we've kind of, when we revealed our list to each other, we kind of talked about, and this is going to be a fun one. So I went with Georgia at 7. You went with LSU. Why LSU, Dustin?
Because they're just going to be a really good team. BK is rolling. He's doing his thing. We celebrated a lot, rightfully so. Our last win in Baton Rouge, that was a product of our own doing and not winning there in over 20 years. But they've got those pictures. They've got a lot of pictures of Auburn fans smoking cigars and this, that, and the other. I don't know how, in the era of the portal and the regime change they've had, I don't even know how many of those players are left on that team, but their fans will remember it. That'll be a rowdy atmosphere like it'll always be. Probably be a night game. At the very least, it'll be a 2:30 kickoff, depending on how both teams start. And for me too, it's like this is coming after the Georgia game. Now there's a bye week. There is a bye week after Georgia in between LSU. So, hopefully maybe that gives you an extra week to prepare. But it's just ultimately, Blake, it's just not a game I see us winning. I think that we'd have to get a lot of breaks, and the stadium that historically we do not get a lot of breaks in. I know what happened the last time, but I'm still haunted by the John Vaughn field goal game and Les Miles just running the freaking clock down for 30 seconds when they should have kicked a field goal and somehow throwing a Hail Mary over a 10-year NFL stud in Gerard Powers. Like, just the whole thing. Kenny Irons getting off the bus saying, I'm going for 200, goes for 200. You still don't get the dub. Bro, I'm shocked. I'm still shocked with that whole situation. And they're a good team. They won the West last year. Jaden Daniels had over 3,800 yards, 29 TDs. They were right there with us as far as best team in the portal rankings for the SEC. They've just added more talent. They have a good recruiting class. They brought in some freshmen that are going to contribute and play early. LSU is a 10-win team. Us going there, we're just not ready for that. I think that, and then I think that Georgia LSU stretch is going to be tough for us.
Yeah, and that's why I have Georgia at 7, is because, everybody talks about Georgia and what they lost, but the recruiting rankings, you look at those and what they have coming in, and all the 5-stars, all the blue chips. They beat the piss out of TCU. Their backup guy, he gets to get in, and he gets his moment in the national championship game. And so, I still think they're going to be right there at the top of the SEC, especially the SEC East. I think them and Tennessee are going to be the juggernaut over there this year. Maybe Kentucky, they could possibly slide in there, but Georgia's still going to be dominant. And this really all depends on what you do at A&M. Can you win this football game? It's at Jordan-Hare. We know strange things have happened, but this Georgia program has absolutely whooped your ass, all right, over the last 15 to 20 years. 18. Yet they have dominated you from 15 to 20 years. They have dominated you. And so what are you going to do? Are you going to lay down in Jordan-Hare? After, what are you going to do at Texas A&M? And this is the game that rolls off of that. Are you going to start 4-0 and welcome Georgia into Jordan-Hare and it be a 2:30 CBS game? Right. Or are you going to get an 11 o'clock, what should be a Jefferson Pilot special back in the
day? JP, baby. JP.
Yeah, so that's why I have it at 7, because I didn't go LSU here, because I'll tell you in a minute, I got them a little lower. But I ultimately think we lose this football game, because I just think Georgia in year one for us in the Hugh era, they're just a little more talented than we are. So I had to drop them to 7 on my list. And Dustin, we'll move on to number 6. I went with Mississippi State. You went with Georgia. And why Georgia at 6, Dustin?
So just they have it is what it is. They have the horses. We don't. They're going to, barring some kind of miracle, they're going to beat us. The miracle would be this. Georgia's won a lot of games in a row. I don't know how their first 3 or 4 games are looking in that season, but maybe they come into Jordan-Hare on this crazy long winning streak. And then, because you're not going to win forever. You're not going to win them all. So maybe something like that happens. They just don't play their best ball. We get some turnovers. Maybe something like that happens, but man, just on paper, I just don't see it. The only reason I have it like it's the same scenario with LSU. I have it at 6 because it's at home, and maybe you can muster up some stuff, because even though I'll be waking up that day knowing that we're probably going to get beat, I'll still kind of, it's Georgia. I'll still play those games with my emotions, and so the 88,000 people at Jordan-Hare are going to do the same thing. They're going to give it everything they got, and that'll probably keep us in the game. Even going back to Harson's first year, bro, where they beat us like 31-10 or whatever it was, that was a game where they just kind of pulled away. They didn't come in and just smack us. They didn't really smack us last year. eventually they did, but they just kind of suffocated us and pulled away. And I just kind of see the same thing happening here at home.
You remember it all started with the bow little dart pass out to Shivers, and it deflected off of his hands, and they picked it off, and that's what kind of the carousel just kind of started turning. And
we dropped some balls. Kobe dropped some balls.
Yeah, and that's really what got it churning for Georgia in Harson's first year. But Dustin, I went with Mississippi State, and kind of like you said a while ago, this is a team that has kind of been through it, and like you said, rest in peace to the Pirate. Just so unfortunate what those kids had to go through at the end of last season, especially after they beat Ole Miss in the Egg Bowl, and just being so high, and then just plummeting so low, but then winning their bowl game with Zach Arnett being there for those kids, man. But like you mentioned, everything's new this year. And this is an important game to me because you're on a 2-game losing streak to Mississippi State. All right. And let's don't forget, it wasn't pretty in 2020 in the COVID year with Gus. All right. He got fired right after the game the next morning. All right. And you barely squeaked that one out. It was like 9-6 going into the fourth quarter. It was ugly. It was awful. And then you give up, what was it, a 28-point lead in 21?
Yeah.
I mean,
the largest blown lead in the history of Jordan-Hare Stadium.
Yeah, so you blew that one. And then last year, that's got to leave a bitter, sour taste in your mouth. All right.
Remember the Boobie Willow fumble game?
There you go. Look, last year, that one left an awful taste in my mouth because you were down. You know, they come out the gates. What was it? 21-0?
Yeah.
And Robbie and the offense got it going. They battled back. The defense made some plays, caused a turnover or two, and you got back in it, and you just couldn't get it done in OT. And that one was a painful one. That was Cadillac's first game. And look, we go back to that. If Cadillac would have had a little more time to prepare, I think Auburn wins that football game. But if you fire Harsin like I told you to after Penn State, I got called an idiot. But
if homeboy doesn't drop, if boy from Mississippi or from Missouri does not drop that football, he gets fired after Missouri, and they put Cadillac in, and we make a bowl game.
Dude, I said it in the third quarter, leaving Jordan-Hare after Penn State.
A lot of people in the stadium were. Yeah,
that was pathetic, man. But look, I think this is a big time game. You know, you get them at home. Last year was at State, and once again, I want to point this out. This is a game, if you want to get to 8-4, like all of you Auburn fans do, including us, this is a game that you got to win. And you get it at home. And this team has kicked your ass the last 2 years. And this is a team, and Mississippi State, if there's a Mississippi State fan watching this, it's no disrespect to your program, but you're not on Auburn's level. And I see that too much on Twitter where Mississippi State fans kind of think that they're getting on that level. You'll never be on that level, okay? You're a baseball school. And remember what you are, right? And I've said that. I said it last year, Dustin. I don't know if you remember it, but this is a 6-team conference, all right? And you know my 6 teams. It is Alabama, LSU, Auburn in the West, and in the East, it is Georgia, Florida, Tennessee. And those are my horses in this conference. Now, in 2024, it'll change with Texas and Oklahoma coming in, but this Mississippi State matchup is crucial to me. This is one of those that you got to have. So that's why I got it at 6. And we'll move on to number 5. Dustin, you got Arkansas. I got LSU. I'll tell you real quick why I got LSU there. Because of last year and what happened in that game. I know they went on to win the West. They had a fairy tale ending right there with beating Alabama with no time left and everything. And it was just a crazy game for them to go to the West and for them to win the West and go to the SEC title game. But this is a team that we were manhandling last year. Right? In the first half, we were up 17-0. Right? And we let them off the hook. Okay. Jaden Daniels, he threw for 5 yards in the second half in Jordan-Hare. So I feel like I know it's in Baton Rouge, but I feel like this is a team that we could get. Now, Georgia,
be big.
I can't put Georgia up here because I don't feel like we have the chance to really get them. I don't feel like we have the horses, but LSU, I feel like we could match up with LSU. Now, I know they got the dogs and Harold Perkins and all that, and their wide receivers are freakishly athletic, and they always got some horses in the backfield, right? And Jaden Daniels is returning, and there's all this hype down there. But the last time we were in Baton Rouge, we come out with a victory, and that was with Potato Head on the sideline, you know. And I know Bo Nix played his ass off that night, but I really do feel like you could go to Baton Rouge and you could slip up and find yourself in a football game Now, do I think we win that game?
Yeah.
It would be a game. Do I think we win it? I don't know yet. All right. And like I said, we're not predicting tonight, but it's important because guess what? I remember sitting in Baton Rouge in 2013, and one of the worst Auburn football seasons of all time happened in 2012. And I went down to Baton Rouge and I said, it's going to storm. It's 100% chance of rain, but I'm going to watch this football team. And I saw a football team get down early. And I said, oh boy, I said, we might not be much better than 2012. But then I saw a football team fight back. All right. I saw a football team not give up like that 2012 team did. I saw a football team get back into a football game and make it something where LSU had to put their foot back on the pedal and say, oh shit, here comes Auburn. You know, we got to put this thing in the end zone. All right. And then they put us away late in the fourth. And that's what I want to see this year. I want to see you go to Baton Rouge. I want to see Hugh Freeze go down there and say, hey, we can win this football game. This isn't an LSU gimme. All right. And this is also piggybacking off the Georgia game. So if you do lose to Georgia, how are you going to respond? If you beat A&M and you start out 4-0, you lose to Georgia, you're at 4-1. How are you going to respond? Are you going to go into Baton Rouge and lay an egg? Be 4-2. And then the tough stretch. There's a tough stretch right there after LSU. And so that is why LSU is at 5 for me. I think it's a huge week for the Auburn Tigers, and I think there's a possibility there that we could sneak up on them and get a win in Baton Rouge.
That'd be huge, man, because I think they're going to have a great year still. So if we were able to slide in and get that win, that would be a big statement for you going down to Baton Rouge. It would be nice to after dealing with the 20-something years, it would be nice to say we got 2 in a row on y'all in Baton Rouge. That'd be a pretty little sweet. But man, so yeah, I'm with you, and you made a good point about 2013. And you know, me and you talked about that before. I totally agree with you because I left that night saying, "Hey, man, this team has turned it around." Just because, like you said, we were down 21-0 with like 6 minutes to go in the first quarter. You were just like, man, we're about to get boat raced, and it just didn't happen that way. And if you watch anything there's so many documentaries about that season. If you watch any of them, all the players talk about how that game was kind of that measuring stick for them. So you make a good point about where that's at in the season. If you go down there and you make a statement, for sure. I've got Arkansas here, Blake, just because of where it is on the schedule, because it's right there after Vandy. You got at Vandy the week before. Before that is Mississippi State. Before that is Ole Miss. So I think that, and then after that, after Arkansas is New Mexico State. I think you have a real shot at going 5-0 in those games. At the minimum, 4-1. But Arkansas was a game that you can. I know that at Vandy and at Arkansas are not world beaters, but you can win back-to-back SEC road games. They're obviously very winnable games. And I take what Arkansas did to us last year personal because that was the deadest I've ever seen that stadium. And obviously Harsin got fired the Monday after. That's how bad it was. But that was just bad, man. They manhandled us. They dominated us. And for where it's at, you're going to play Bama the last game of the season. Let's just take the Mississippi State game and Ole Miss out of it. That's a very winnable stretch of games with Vanderbilt, Arkansas, New Mexico State. Say whatever with Mississippi games, you can go into the Iron Bowl with at minimum a 3-game winning streak and some momentum. But if you lose that game, it's not going to look good. It's too late in the season to lose at Arkansas. So it's just, I think it's an important game that we need to win, and I don't want to lose 2 in a row to those clowns.
Yeah, I'm with you 100% there. Let's move on to number 4, Dustin. I got Cal, and you have the Colt of Texas A&M. Why you got him at 4, Dustin?
Well, I got the Colt at number 4 because of where it is in the season. We're 4-1 there all time, so we do pretty good there. 6-7 all time versus them, so I like to even that up. And yeah, you got A&M, and then it's Georgia, LSU. And real quick on that. SEC, when we told y'all we won't want Georgia, Bama anymore, that didn't mean stick it right before a trip to Death Valley. That's not what we were talking about. But whatever, we'll see how the schedule falls in the future. I'm sure they'll replace at LSU with at Oklahoma or something for us. But anyway, yeah, it's just where it's at, brother. Like, because you're probably going to lose Georgia. You're probably going to lose to LSU. You're at least going to be heavy underdogs. So you need to go into A&M and get that win, because otherwise you're looking at the possibility of a 3-game losing streak. And those first 3 games aren't that big of opponents. There are teams that you'll be expected to win. So the sentiment would be, oh boy, now that you started playing the real teams, it ain't going right. No one's going to say anything if you start off 4-0 and then drop games to Georgia, LSU. As long as you look competitive in them, you'll be sitting at 4-2, and people will be like, this is where we expected Auburn to be. Everything's fine. But 4-2 looks a hell of a lot different than 3-3. Hell of a lot different than 3-3. So for that reason alone, I think it is pretty important. And they're talented. They're talented, and for all the jokes we make about how crazy that whole fan base and their traditions are and all that kind of stuff, they're going to be loud. They're going to be into it. So it's going to be a tough atmosphere. But like I said, 4-1 there all time. It's a game that I think we should win. Like if I had today, if we were predicting today, I would say, I think yes. So, but it's going to be very tough. So it'll be one of those. It's like it's a tone setter, man. It's a tone setter, and you got to avoid a 3-game losing streak, because then momentum. And we talked about that team chemistry, right? We talked about it with Mike. We talked about it with Ike.
Yep.
A bunch of new guys. A 3-game losing streak ain't good for that.
I agree with you there, and that's going to be a pivotal game. Obviously, you haven't seen them come up on my list yet, so I got them a little higher.
Right.
But I'm going with Cal here, Dustin, and the reason I'm going with Cal is because it's week 2. All right, and this is really going to tell you where Auburn is. And when you go out west, you know what you're going to get with the Pac-12. All right, you're going to get a team that's going to want to throw it around. They're going to want to stretch it wide. And this is going to really show you about that secondary. This is going to show you, can Auburn dominate the trenches on both sides of the football? All right. And that's what you should do with a mediocre Pac-12 team. Auburn should go out to Cal and absolutely dominate, because I think this game is going to tell you where Auburn sits for the season. I really do. You're getting a test week 2, and don't sit here and think just because it's Cal, oh, this is an automatic win. It's not. All right. They were competitive a little bit last year. I watched a couple of their games. I watched them play Bo and Oregon. All right. They were competitive a little bit. Now, like I said, you got to dominate the trenches, all right, because they're not as big. They're not as physical. That's not their style of play. All right. They like to throw it around the yard. Our secondary should manhandle their receivers. We're going to be that good in that department on D. So we should win this football game. Our offense, run it down their throat. All right. Yes, we got the horses to do it. And this game favors you in every aspect. In all three phases of this football game, Auburn checks the boxes. But don't go out there going two time zones away.
Yeah.
You're going to have a late kick. I think it's a 9:30 kick.
9:30 kick.
So you're playing Pac-12 after dark. Don't get caught sleeping. All right. But this is going to set the tone. I tell you right now, Dustin, if this Auburn team goes out there and they handle business and they beat Cal by 2 scores, you're going to get a hellacious fan base. Yep. They're going to be rocking. All right. Auburn will travel to that game too. Auburn fans will travel.
Do you think there'll be more Auburn fans there? I do.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. There will be more Auburn fans than Cal fans in that stadium. And I think you're going to have a hellacious fan base excited on Twitter, social media, everything. Like I think the motor is going to start churning, man. I really do. I think this is going to set the tempo to the season. And you're going to get that first test on the road. This isn't a neutral site. And that's what I like about this is it's on the road. You're not going to Dallas, Texas to play Oregon in the showdown, the kickoff classic or whatever. You're having to go to their house in Pac-12 after dark territory. So that is why I got Cal at 4. I think it's going to be a major test. But once again, I go back to the 8-4 thing. If you want to get to 8-4, you got to beat Cal. All right. Got to beat Cal. So let's move on to number 3. I got Ole Miss. Dustin, you got Cal. Why Cal?
So I'll just get a lot of things you said about Cal. I'm with you. It's just it's where it's at. It's not even about Cal. They're starting a brand new quarterback. He transferred from TCU, Sam Jackson. Didn't get a lot of reps there. They're working in a whole new offensive system themselves. They're trying to go to an up-tempo, fast-paced offense, this whole deal. So it's not even really about Cal, man. It's not an intimidating atmosphere. Like we just said, there'll be more Auburn fans. It's just about, one, the travel. If you think that traveling from Auburn to Cal and then having to do whatever they're going to have to do for practice all week and adjusting to that time zone, if you think that's not a big deal, I challenge you to look up the win percentage of teams traveling from this side of the country to the west, to that Western time zone in the NFL. And those are professionals. Even those guys, the win percentage is way down. It don't matter. It don't matter, bro. It don't matter if that team is a. Back in the day, I remember Tampa, we were actually decent one year, and we went out there, and the Raiders were like a 3-win team, and they just smoked us. And there's something to that. But obviously, just think of a guy like Justin Rogers and Jason Jones. Does Cal have the guys to block those kind of guys? And it's week 2, so we're going to be as healthy as we're going to be all year. So, and you made a good point about receivers versus defensive backs. Is there anybody on Cal that's going to be able to get separation on our DBs? No. So it's not about Cal. It's about Auburn for all the reasons that you mentioned, and just and lose this game. And then you see, if we win this game and win the other games that we need to win and this, that, and the other, and finish 8-4 like you're talking about, then the Cal game won't be, you won't look back at it as this big game. But boy, if you lose it in week 2, then you know how it's going to get, man. The jokes are going to start flying in. The fan base is going to start going, oh, man. And the locker room is going to start saying, boy, we still got all these teams in the SEC to come on, and we didn't win at Cal. So, and like I mention this all the time too, man. How often do we play Cal? So anytime we play these teams that we don't play, I want to get in there. I want to get the dub. I know they come to us next year. Well, we'll see how that pans out with the scheduling. But yeah, we'll have to go 2-0 versus Cal, man. And just maybe while you're out there, put on a good show, put on a good impression, because I would guess that knowing Hugh Freeze and this staff, they're going to try to make a little recruiting imprint out there. Knowing Hugh Freeze, he's not just going to go out there and not meet some coaches and not try to recruit. I bet he does some recruiting that week. So he's probably going to have some guys coming to that. I'm just guessing here, but he's probably going to have some guys coming to that game and wants to put on a show. You'll be the only SEC team playing at that point, because you're going to be, the kickoff going to be at 9:45. So I plan on taking a nap at like 6:30 and just getting up around 9 and getting cranked up. Yeah. But everyone will be watching it, because Auburn will be the biggest product on TV at that point. I mean, it'll be on at 11 o'clock at night. So whoever's up at that point will be watching it. And it'll just be a big statement. It'll be the first time that a lot of people are watching Hugh Freeze coach Auburn for the first time just across the country. So make a statement, beat Cal down 38-17, something like that, 31-17, 28-7, whatever it is. But just come out there with a double-digit dub, man. Look good. I would probably maybe like a slow start, and then just kind of, as it goes on, just pound them into the ground. But I do think it is a very important game. It's Hugh Freeze's first big primetime game, and all the reasons that we just mentioned. So it being week 2, man, it is like I said with the A&M game, it's a tone setter. It can really get you off on the right foot. So just go in there and handle your business, man.
Dustin, I have Ole Miss at number 3.
This is going to be so fun, Blake. This is going to be such a fun game.
Yeah, I wonder why we got them this high up here on our list. First off, was because of what happened last year, right? And let's talk about the season. They were absolutely kicking our ass. We know what Quinshawn Judkins did. This was a guy that was 30 minutes away from Auburn and begged to go to Auburn, and Brian Harsin never recruited him. So he ends up running the ball down our throat. We end up coming back. Robbie Ashford makes some plays. This offense makes some plays. We get back into the football game. There is some opportunities to get some turnovers. The ball doesn't bounce our way. It just doesn't happen for Auburn, and Ole Miss puts us away. And then down the back end of the season, Ole Miss was hot, and then they went ice cold, and then they started going on the road and hearing that Lane Kiffin was going to Auburn. Student sections were, chanting Auburn, Auburn. And it was just wild. It was complete turmoil, chaos, man, what he was going through during those few weeks. And the smoke was real. It felt like he was going to be the next head football coach of the Auburn Tigers. Yeah. And we even talked about it on an episode back when we used to do audio only. All right. And, we were both kind of saying it felt real. We were talking to people that are in the rooms that asked Brian Harsin and Hugh Freeze questions. All right. And we were saying, hey, how does it look? And they were saying, man, it's 99%. It looks like it's him. It looks like it's him. It looks like the deal is done. Yeah. And all of a sudden he comes out and says, hey, I'm staying at Ole Miss. Auburn hires Hugh Freeze. Auburn fans are in shock. Some are saying, no, this can't be. Hugh Freeze is, he's not that guy. He doesn't represent the university well in a way that we would want. And so then you got Twitter Lane, the troll, who continues to come out and troll Auburn, and he doesn't stop. And we know how he is. He's like a 15, 16-year-old on social media. He thinks it's funny. He thinks it's all a game. And, a lot of Alabama fans think that's the next head coach at Alabama. And I'm sorry, I disagree, because I don't think Alabama operates like that. I don't think they put up with that. But between Ole Miss and Auburn, all right, I have this game at 3. And the reason I have it at 3 is because you got A&M, Georgia, LSU, and then you got Ole Miss. All right. So, like we mentioned, got to get A&M. But if you lose to Georgia and then you lose to LSU, my God, you can't turn around and lose to Ole Miss. All right. And you can't have Lane trotting across the 50 to shake Hugh's hand and him smiling and say, yeah, that's why I didn't leave Ole Miss. All right. And you've even got the Ole Miss fan base sitting here going, we're better than you now. We've owned you. You've owned what? You've owned what? You're 35-11 all time in the series.
Yeah, got their first win in 7 years.
Let me tell you something. Ole Miss fans, if you're listening to this, I just mentioned earlier that this was a 6-team conference. All right. In football, it's a 6-team conference. Your name wasn't on there. All right. And it wasn't on there for a reason. It's because
never won the West.
You've never won the West. All right. You didn't even go inside of the Atlanta Superdome or
yeah, right. Georgia Dome.
The Georgia Dome or whatever. The Georgia Dome. You never went inside. Ever. All right. Oh, yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. They played Boise State in a kickoff game there.
Right.
Yeah. But anything that had meaning, you never went into the Georgia Dome. Okay. And now the Mercedes-Benz, you've never been in there, and so I don't know if you actually love Atlanta or, what. It doesn't look like it. So just know your place, know your role, and stop trying to put yourself on a pedestal with Auburn, because you're not. The history and the program is just not there. So I think this is a huge game for Hugh. Obviously, we know that he was at Ole Miss.
Yeah.
All right. And we know what happened there. And we know that Jordan-Hare is going to be absolutely bananas. All right. It is going to be.
I can't wait, bro.
It is going to be the most hellacious atmosphere that maybe we've seen in years. Okay. You thought Texas A&M last year was lights out. You thought that swag surfing and that light show was electric. Boy, let me tell you something. If this is a tie ball game going into the fourth quarter, Jordan-Hare might crumble. It might come down. This place is going to be
night, Blake, 6:30 kick.
Come on now. This place is going to be electric, Dustin. And you let Auburn win this football game. I mean, I don't know if we'll throw mustard and golf balls, right? But it's going to be electric, all right? Yeah. And in my opinion, if I had to put one on the schedule and pinpoint and say you can't lose that game, this is the one. This is the one, because whoever wins this game right here, the opposing fan base is coming after next. All right. They're coming after next. It's going to be blood. It's going to be blood. And so on social media, man, it's going to break, dude. And I can't see Lane running across the 50, shaking Hugh's hand and saying, "Got you." All right. And then you're going to have to hear the jokes of Hugh at Ole Miss and all that. I don't want to hear that.
All right.
But here's the thing is Auburn can beat Ole Miss. Okay. They can beat Ole Miss. All right. Look, this is a guy that just brought in Spencer Sanders from Oklahoma State when you had Jackson Dart as your starting quarterback. So what is there you go. He don't believe in Jackson Dart. You want to know why? Because Jackson Dart turns the ball over too much. He throws it to the other team too much. I can really vividly remember a key pick he threw in that LSU game they had last year. They were inside the red zone, and he just lobbed a ball to the corner of the end zone and threw it right to the LSU DB. I mean, he just sitting there waiting on it, you know?
Yeah.
And so what is that quarterback room thinking? All right. Spencer Sanders, also, you look at him. He threw the ball to the other team a lot. You know, now I know the Big 12, that's all they do is they just throw it around, air raid, throw it around the yard 70 times a game. But bro threw like 40 picks in his career at Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
And I know he's a veteran, but who's going to be that starter? What are they going to do on offense? Are they going to pound Quinshon Judson? What are they going to do? Are they going to spread it around the yard? How are they going to attack Auburn? Because I think Auburn has the secondary to match up with their receivers this year. So if Auburn can, and if they can match up, if they can match up in the trenches and stop the run and really force Ole Miss to throw the football, I think you could win this football game. And now, one thing I don't want to see is what happened a couple of years ago, and you had to kick all them field goals against Ole Miss, and it got tighter than what it should have been because we were absolutely working Matt Corral and sent him out of the game and just couldn't capitalize offensively. But that is why this game sits at number 3 for me, Dustin, is because I think it's a must-win game. And, you know, in my opinion, Dustin, if you win this game, you get to 9 wins. All right. Auburn fans, you win this game right here, you're going 9-3. All right. And we'll get to a prediction show closer we get. But I honestly believe that. I believe if you beat Ole Miss, you go 9-3.
Okay.
And that's why it's so high for me. But let's go to number 2. I got Texas A&M. You got Ole Miss. Since I just talked about Ole Miss, Dustin, I'll take this one first. I got A&M because this is the first SEC game for Hugh. And you're on the road. This is a team that you beat last year. Cadillac Williams set Jordan-Hare on fire, right? This is a team that just hired Bobby Petrino as their offensive coordinator. This is a team that has lacked identity on the offensive side of the ball with Jimbo. So now they're trying to fix that. They're trying to get the ball out. They're trying to get playmakers out in space. That is something they've lacked over the years with Jimbo. And what are we going to see from Texas A&M? What does their quarterback situation look like? That was a disaster last year. Their defense is always really, really good. That is one thing that you can pinpoint with Texas A&M that is going to be just pure damn filthy is their defense. All right. But what is their offense going to look like? I know they got Anaya Smith coming back. I know he had the leg injury last year, but he will be back, I believe. And what is their running backs? What's their backfield going to look like? They lost A-Chain, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's gone. So are they going to be explosive in the backfield? I'm not really sure, but I think if you win this game, you start 1-0 in the SEC. Like you mentioned a while ago, 4-2, Georgia and LSU after that looks a hell of a lot better than 3-3. So this is the key pivotal SEC matchup to start the year off, man. It's so crucial that Hugh and the boys go out there and get this dub. But that's why I got them at number 2.
Yeah. Yeah, big game, man. Really big game. Just because of where it's at. Well, Ole Miss, bro, it's just like I'm just so sick. I mean, if you follow me on social media, like you know what it is. I probably make fun of Ole Miss about every day or two because it's just ridiculous. Their fans, they just piss me off so much with the way they acted with the whole thing. It's like, dude, and yeah, I guess you're a baseball school, but I didn't see you in Hoover. I guess you're a yeah.
They did win the Natty last year.
Yeah, they won the Natty, but I mean, you follow it up by not even making the conference tournament. Like this is supposed to be your sport, man, and you can't even get consistent at it. Same thing with Mississippi State. Where were y'all at? Two schools, two people don't make the SEC tournament, and they both happen to reside in the baseball state. So
and Dustin, Southern Miss is playing to go to Omaha.
Yeah, exactly. Southern Miss is Mississippi baseball, if you ask me. So yeah, and just with all this, bro, it's like you said, the 31-11 or whatever in the world it is. Go on my Twitter. I probably posted it 15 times. Like I said, I just, man, it's a joke. It's a joke. And for all the reasons that you mentioned, just, I wanted to throw up just when you talked about the possibility of Lane Kiffin with that stupid smirk running across and then what do you know? He's going to tweet afterwards and all this kind of stuff. And what gets me, Blake, is he acts like it was never considered. Dude, like you mentioned, bro, I've got DMs from everybody, from every Auburn outlet you can think of, not just one, saying this is a done deal. And people that don't miss, people that when they usually tell us stuff, it's like, okay. Now, me and you, our goal is to not be insiders. So even when we hear stuff, we're not going to come out and just be like, we're not going to try to like break it. That's not what we want to do. If we have some kind of some inside info, we'll kind of leak it into the podcast. Like you have to kind of listen, and you kind of can pick up. But like, so that's not really our game. But like, bro, we were hearing this, right? And then look at Go on YouTube, look up Josh Pate's video. When you're done here, look up Josh Pate's video. He talks about how he was in earshot of Jimmy Sexton and Lane Kiffin, and they were worried about Hugh Freeze's win at Arkansas. If maybe that had made Auburn want to consider Hugh more than Lane. So he wanted the job. Now, whatever happened, I don't know. I've got a theory. And we've kind of heard some things that maybe – and it's not like it's out there that he wanted some things in this contract that Auburn just said, no. You want to buy out even if you leave to go to certain schools that happen to be our rivals. John Cohen would have been an idiot if those rumors are true to meet those demands. But the fact that Lane acts like this was not considered, buddy, you were all but signed. And he still attacks that reporter from the local reporter. I think he's out of Jackson or wherever, but somewhere in Mississippi. He's still attacking him. Bro, the guy, like, you were going to Auburn. Whatever happened, however it happened, I don't know. But, like, you're still attacking the media like this is just some made-up fantasy. It's like, so that part of it is ridiculous. There's a guy, Blake, that got fired on the tarmac by USC. Like, he got literally chased out of Knoxville. Got chased out of Knoxville by their fans. Like, just look up this cat's history, man. Is he an offensive genius? Yes. But he almost ruins it by his ridiculous fourth down decisions. Like, just take 3. You end up losing the game by 7 where you left 9 points on the board for field goals. Just take the 3, man. He just, I don't, dude, it's so outrageous. And just the way their fans acted, the way that it was like, well, of course he was like you big timed Auburn. Like you did something to Auburn. For all these reasons, dude, this game is going to be so hype. If you see me in the stands, don't judge how I'm acting. I'm going to be outside my mind, bro. Like I'm not going to be in a sane state. So don't expect any kind of professionalism coming from me on October 21st. I pray to God that is a night game, dude. It is going to be so much fun. It's going to be so much hype. I love trash talk. This is fun. We can still hang out with the Ole Miss fans after the game. This doesn't have to be personal. But, boy, when they tee it off, bro, like y'all been talking a lot of smack. And I got a feeling like, Blake, they know how good a coach Hugh Freeze is. They know that.
Yeah.
And they'll be reminded, and he's going to remind the SEC sooner rather than later that I'm that dude. But this one is going to be an absolute. This is going to be nuts. It's going to be so much fun. I absolutely love trash talk. I love the drama, all that, and everything that just all the hype that's piled into this game, dude. This is going to be a blast. What if we win? What are the memes going to be like? You know what I mean? Like it's going to be unreal.
Ole Miss will turn them off. They'll turn their mentions off.
Will they even post it?
They might not post the final score. But yeah, I completely agree with you, Dustin. It's going to be absolutely electric in Jordan-Hare. But let's go to number one, man, and we both agree on this. It will always and forever be the Alabama Crimson Tide as the most important game on the Auburn Tigers football schedule. And first year, Hugh Freeze, you get them at Jordan-Hare, man. You got them coming in with no Bryce Young. Hey, and I think this is important because where are you going to be at in the season? All right, where is Alabama going to be at? What do we know about Alabama this year? This is the first year that this might sound crazy to some people, but there's no Mac Jones, Tua Tagovailoa, Jalen Hurts. There's no Bryce Young over there. So you're looking at year one and you're going, hey, we know their defense is going to be really good, but they lost Gibbs in the backfield. Their receiving core, like, what is it going to look like? I mean, they've struggled last year at the receiver position. There's no Jamison Williams coming out that tunnel. There's no John Mechie. There, all the slew of great receivers that they've had. Those guys, there's not really anybody that I fear over there, like I did in the past where I was like, man, they got, Ruggs and Judy and all those cats, Waddle, and like, man, they're not there. So with our secondary, and I keep talking about that secondary because I think it's going to be the greatest position group on the field for Auburn this year. But with our secondary, and they don't scare me, and with no Bryce Young back there, man, we saw the drive 2 years ago and what he did and all the special moments that he had in that Alabama uniform. The dude was absolutely phenomenal. Number one, first round, number one pick, all that good stuff to the Carolina Panthers. Now you've got Tyler Buckner coming in from Notre Dame with Tommy Rees as the new OC. And you know who their DC is now, Dustin.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I want to bring that up. There's a little blood there, right? So, but I think Hugh gets them at home, man, and that's got to be electric for Hugh, knowing that you don't have to go to Tuscaloosa year one. What are you gonna be? What are they gonna be? And if you can beat Alabama, Auburn fans, if you're listening to this, I've said this for months. If you can beat Alabama and you want recruiting to absolutely take off, this is the football game to do it. If you want a Perry Thompson, if you want a Ryan Williams, if you want a Cam Coleman, if you want all these dudes, all these cats, if you don't want to lose, Sterling Dixon. If you don't want to lose a Curtis Perry anymore, or those guys like that, this is the game. This is it. And you go in there and you whoop Nick Saban's ass year one, and you meet him at the 50 and you say, hey, look, great game. All right. But it's going to keep happening. All right. This is just the start. It's going to keep happening.
Pat Donna, Bear Bryant, Hugh Freeze, Saban.
There you go. And this one would mean the world to the Auburn faithful. Excuse me, I dropped my pen.
Right.
This would mean
already.
Yeah, this would mean the world to the Auburn faithful if you go in there, win this football game after the 2 years of what Auburn just had to go through. It would mean so much to this fan base, and that's why I think this is the most important game on Auburn's football schedule.
Yeah, me and you will never not have this as number one. Me and you've been very clear about how where we hold this rivalry at. There's been a weird push from a lot of people just in the Auburn kind of sphere, and I've seen it just where they're kind of poo-pooing rivalries. And I get it to an extent because it's like with the 12-team playoff, with the SEC title, with all this stuff, you beat them in the regular season, then okay, you got to play them again. But, bro, like, I'm sorry. I'm just not from that. Like, I'm just not from that. You're playing Alabama. We just come off. We've been pretty vocal about how rough this year was versus them in athletics, right? Well, this is kind of the big start. This is the start to the big three. So this is your chance to say, okay, we're going to do it right this time. You talk about recruiting. You get the Iron Bowl at home every 2 years. So once every 2 years, you have an opportunity to be on the biggest stage in college football. And what I'm saying is, think about the atmosphere of Jordan-Hare Stadium on Iron Bowl Saturday. That's the hypest, the best atmosphere, or at least one of in that season, regardless of record. Just go back to Harson's first year. Think about how that crowd almost willed just a busted up Auburn team to victory. We should have never been in that game, bro. 3 overtimes. We should have never been in that game. If we would have just ran the same defense we ran the entire game, that last drive, we would have won the damn thing, but that's neither here nor there. But the thing is, it's just like you said, you're going to have all those guys on the sideline. This will be the last game before National Signing Day. There's just so much in recruiting where you can say, man, we're on this level and we're just getting started. Nick Saban is on the back end of his career. And the same way, like I just mentioned, Paul Bear Bryant was when Pat Dye was still in his prime, the way Hugh Freeze is still riding up in his prime. Hugh Freeze is hungry. We know that he can beat Nick Saban. He's done it twice in a row at a poverty program like we just talked about with Ole Piss. So to have the opportunity to man, if he makes this happen, and even just being in the game would be cool, but like Auburn's always in the game in Jordan-Hare Stadium. And here's the thing. Anytime Auburn's decent, man, anytime we're 7-8 wins decent in this game, we usually beat them at home. And they were so much better than us in 2009 with Chris Todd. I mean, we had that crazy reverse with T-Zac. We had the onside kick. We almost pulled it out. Ultimately, we just didn't have the horses to cover a freaking Julio Jones. But, like, you talk about a Perry Thompson out of the same school, a Foley High School. Win that Iron Bowl with Perry Thompson right there. And then you have that guy in the Iron Bowl that they can't cover. It's a trickle-down effect. There's so many things. And I don't want to lose to Bama back-to-back in Jordan-Hare Stadium. I should have looked it up. I don't know if that's ever even happened. Because, again, we didn't even get to play them in Jordan-Hare Stadium until 1989. And it was up until Saban came and ruined everything. They'd never even won in Auburn. But we got to protect our house versus our biggest rivals, man. And all the cliche stuff, and that 30 for 30 about the stuff that you always hear about having to hear it for 365 days and blah, 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 blah. When you're in it for so long, it becomes that little blah, blah, blah. But, like, it's not in the game. When I wake up on Iron Bowl Saturday, bro, it is a whole different me. There's a whole different feeling. I don't care what our record is. I've convinced myself before in 2012, bro, I promise you, I hyped myself up by kickoff. Man, punt, Bama punt, and blah, 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 you know, you can do it. You can die. You can do it. You can get into the history and all that. But, yeah, man, it's the best rivalry in sports. You get it at home once every 2 years. So you get that opportunity to have that amazing atmosphere. Like you said, all the recruits, everything that it means. It's the biggest thing in the state of Alabama. It just is. No doubt. That's how important it is. The entire state stops. That's not hyperbole. So, and if you win that game, man, in year one of Hugh Freeze, boy, like the statement that you make to the nation, but more importantly, the statement that you make to all the high school prospects and high school coaches across the state of Alabama, it would be earth-shattering on the recruiting front. It really would be.
I agree 100%, Dustin. I think everything you said was spot on, and it is the greatest rivalry in the country. And it's gonna mean something this year, and it always does mean something. But there's gonna be an extra little fire in that game this
Yes,
year,
sir.
and that's why we both had it at number one, is because of those recruiting purposes. That it's going to carry so much weight, and it's beyond the game. It's beyond the football field. It's beyond the gridiron, man. It goes into recruiting into parents' homes and sitting on their couches talking to their kids. That's what this game means, because you want to take the state. And if you do that, like you said, man, you have a Ryan Williams in the class of 2025 sitting here looking, going, hey, man, I'm committed to Alabama. I'm Mr. Football. I'm the number one player in Alabama. And Auburn, my dad played at Auburn. I want to go to Auburn because look at Hugh Freeze, man. He's distributing the football to these wide receivers. I know what he's put in the NFL at wide receiver.
Right.
And here I am at Saraland High School, and I've already got Alabama on me. But, man, I want to go to Auburn. My dad suited up for Auburn. So that's what it means, man. That is what it means. So, I think this was a hell of an episode. I enjoyed it. I think it was fun. Just to go from 12 to 1 and really break down the football schedule. It was a blast, Dustin. I enjoyed it, man.
Yes, sir, for sure. It was fun, man.
Yeah, look, went a little over time tonight, a little over an hour, but it was worth it. We got to finally talk some Auburn football. But if you could, go over to Apple Podcast, rate the show, like the show, subscribe to it, subscribe on YouTube if you could. Click the bell for notifications. Get in the comment section. Let us know what are your rank your games. Let us know from 12 to 1 who you like. We would love to hear it. And we will definitely be paying attention to that and interacting with all of you, all of our listeners. And we just give so much thanks, and we appreciate each and every one of you.
I have a request real quick, man. If anybody out there, if you are into graphic design, if you can do graphic design, if you like clips for a YouTube channel, a commitment post, like we need some help with that, man. We're ball guys. We're not artistic guys. I've got on Canva and I've tried, and there's a reason why I don't post the shit, because I suck. So, and we're balling on a budget. So we can't offer you a whole lot of money, man. But like, if you want to help us out, bro, DM us. We can work something out. For real, would be a big help. So just if there's anybody out there that's interested in doing that, man, you see my Twitter right there. Blake's at the Uptempo Podcast on Twitter. Just hit us up, man. That would be cool for us. If you know somebody, shoot them our way.
Yeah,
we're trying to grow, and that's a big part of it.
Love that, Dustin, and appreciate you bringing that up, man. That is that slipped my mind. So I'm thankful for everything that Dustin does for this podcast, and we're busy, man. We both work 10, 12-hour days. We're in the heat, and it's you come home and you just you don't have all the time in the world. So we really
coming back on.
Yep. Jay Phillips coming back on, and we got a big guest. I think, when is he coming on?
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
So maybe Wednesday night, Thursday morning, it'll be out.
Yep, Wednesday night, Thursday morning. That sounds like a plan. So that's a big time guest talking a little Auburn hoops. So,
yes, sir.
Look, you might not think it's right around the corner, but it is. It'll be here before you know it.
They're working out. They're practicing.
Yeah. So we appreciate each and every one of you for listening. And like always, we'll leave you with a War Damn Eagle. We'll catch you on the next one. We're out.